All right, folks, we're back with another Movement Optimism podcast, and today we have Guillaume Deville, and I know I just said his name wrong because I'm not French. My kids speak French, and they make fun of my French accent. Deville. Do you say that? How do I pronounce the L's? That's what I always have trouble with. I can't even do it.
Deville. Yeah, you've got it.
Yeah, I thought it was a softer L. Deville, like Deville. I don't know.
Deville.
Sorry about that. Okay, anyways, Guillaume graduated in Bordeaux in 2005 in physiotherapy, started out with a professional football club in France. Since 2007, he's been in private practice. He has a Master's of Science in Physio and Education from the University of Brighton. During his Master's, he explored and synthesized literature on the prescription of home therapeutic exercises, shared decision-making, and reflective practice, which was the subject of his final dissertation. Now, as a continuing education teacher, he teaches motivational interviewing, which is what we wanted to talk about today, reflective clinical practice in his course entitled Motivating Patients to Do Their Home Exercises. And he also hosts a French podcast, Evidence-Based Physio. Last, Guillaume is the co-founder and co-manager of L'Agence. No? Close enough?
L'Agence, yeah.
EBP. A continuing education organization for healthcare professionals that offers training based on the latest scientific evidence. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Greg, for having me.
Okay, great. So today we're going to talk primarily about MI, or motivational interviewing. So first, tell me what MI is in the rehab space, because my wife used to teach it, funny enough, in the health promotion space. And I was more for smoking cessation and things like that. And I know it's popular in the rehab space, and I know people talk about it, but I'm curious what does it look like in the persistent pain and the rehab world?
Yeah, you're right. It was developed initially for addictions. And it moved, initially it was for addiction, and then it moved and it was used in different ways to help different people. And now we use it quite a bit in rehab, and actually it's more about MI is about behavioral change. Every time you have a patient, you want to help him being motivated in changing his behavior in any way. MI could be useful. And one example I'm interested about, as you said in the introduction, is, for example, when you prescribe home exercises, it's a change of behavior. This is something new in the day of the patient, let's say. And then MI, for example, can help.
So would it be to increase adherence to do the at-home exercise? Is that the primary idea, or is it to help get buy-in, or whatever it happens to be?
Actually, the main motivation for people is to learn how to convince patients to do what they want them to do. And that's a problem. Actually, it's what brings people quite often to MI, and to be honest, that was what brought me to MI at the first place. But then when you discover this method, let's say, you realize that it's not the right way to see it, because it's not very efficient and not very respectful of the patient.
So it's not about convincing someone to do their daily squats and bird dogs or whatever the therapist thinks this person should do. It's not about being like manipulating them. That's always my joke about MI, is that it's manipulation and interviewing.
It's very important to make this difference, because to say that you are practicing MI, you have to use three big things. So you have to use some tools, communication tools, which are not specific to MI. You have to go through different tasks, which are engaging in the relationship, focusing in one topic of change, evoking, which is the moment to work the motivation of the patient, and then the last one is planning, just to plan the change. And so you have the tools, the tasks, and you have the spirit. And the spirit of MI, you have different dimensions, like the importance of partnership, the importance of being non-judgmental and acceptance, and you have the empowerment part, and the last bit, which relates to what you said, is compassion. And in France, it's more, the word is more closer to altruism. So it means you want to help the patient do what is good for him, but not for you. And this is what prevents you to being manipulative with the patient when you use it. If you follow the steps, because the first step is engaging, so is to work the therapeutic alliance, this can be used for basically any session with any patient. We know that if you improve a therapeutic alliance, it helps with the results, it helps with everything. This is very important. The focusing part, this is where you have to make sure you don't try to manipulate the patient. You want to find what is the aim, the goal of the patient, and you have to define how you will try to go there with the patient, and you have to agree on both sides of what you are going to do. So are you going to try some massages, some exercises, some whatever? You have to agree. And it's only when you agree with the patient, so only when this step is validated, checked, that you can try to improve his motivation. So it means you will try to work his motivation only on something is already agreed. So you have to do it in the right order. It's not you want him to do that, so you will try to make him say the reason for him to do it. No, it's before you agree. So it's basically it's a bit shared decision making before, and then if he agrees with your suggestion, you can work and try to see if it's possible to increase his motivation for him to proceed to put it in place in his life.
Could an example be, let's say you have someone with low back pain, and this is a very CFT or classic cognitive functional therapy archetype patient who's fear avoidant. When they go to flex or pick something up, they're very rigid, they're bracing, it hurts when they bend, and when you look at their bending, their movement pattern might be rigid, so they're not really bending their back. And your thought process is, this person needs to bend their spine, but they're afraid to bend their spine. Thus, we must do some exposure to spinal bending, right? The trick of the CFT, which when you watch the videos or the course, is that somehow you get this person to bend their spine and you violate their expectations of what their spine can do, and maybe they have less pain, or maybe they do something that they were once afraid of and they don't have that injury that they were worried about. What would MI look like with a case like that? Because to me, as a clinician, you've said, I need you to bend your spine. And I know it's supposed to be shared decision-making, but it always feels like you have this idea that they need to do this, and now we have to put it out there that they should do something like this. Does that make sense?
Yes, of course, that's very interesting.
I didn't prep you on that one. I just thought of that as you were talking.
Ideally, you would want the patient to agree to try. You don't have to convince the person to try. You just have to reach the level where he agrees to try. And maybe there is a fine line between you are making him doing something which he doesn't realize, and then he realizes afterward. Then it's helpful for him. Actually, I don't know why, but in the English world, it seems to be a relationship, from my experiences, between motivational interviewing and the trans-theoretical model of change, this one, contemplation, etc.
Yeah.
And actually, the authors of MI, they just don't want this association. But yeah, because normally in MI, you will help someone who is ambivalent. And to be ambivalent, you are in the contemplation phase. Okay? And the thing which makes a big difference with like addictions is that most people, they know that smoking is not good for them. Mm-hmm. The big difference for us is a lot of people, this guy maybe believes that it's very dangerous to bend. So it's very different. He is in pre-contemplation. If you ask him to do it, he doesn't see the point, or he doesn't see the relationship between doing that and getting better. So he's in pre-contemplation. And with MI, maybe the focusing part is try to see if you can bring him to the contemplation phase, be ambivalent, and if you want him to be ambivalent, it would be, okay, maybe it can help, but I'm scared, let's say, okay?
Yeah.
But to reach this stage, first you need to have a very good therapeutic alliance, which the CFT people are very good at. Very good.
Absolutely.
First you need that. And then you need to have some education, some explanation, some reassurance, which will lead to the person agreeing to try to do what you ask him to do. Because you say, you make him bend, but he can say no, actually. If he says yes, it means the therapeutic alliance is good enough and is willing to give it a try.
Yeah. This is, again, using like Samantha Bunsley's work, which CFT uses. This is the whole point of making sense of pain. This is the idea behind pain education is that someone didn't really know that about their problem, and they learn that it might be okay for their back to bend, and so they have a new concept of their spine. And maybe that's the idea behind education. So you would take them from pre-contemplative to contemplative, right? Is that that might be the idea behind education? That's my take on it. I don't use MI, but then when I hear people talk, I'm like, oh shit, maybe I do use MI.
Of course, you are using tools, and you are adhering to some principles of the spirit of MI, I'm sure. The only thing is, it's been developed also for research, for a study to say that MI has been delivered. They build some scores to make sure the level of MI is good enough. And in this situation, to say you are doing MI, you need to use the tools, use the spirit and the task. But of course, a lot of people are using bits of that, and it's very helpful on its own. The only thing is, in MI, you need to make sure you both agree on what you are going to try to do before try to explore the motivation. And this step of agreeing what you are going to try to do, I think it's shared decision making. And for shared decision making, you need to have education. And so if it's pain science education or whatever, you need to have education because you want the patient to make informed choices. And as you said, if he doesn't know, if he doesn't have the information, he can't make an informed choice. For me, this is the step. And then, if he's okay to try, you can check if he's motivated enough. And sometimes the patient is already motivated, you just have to plan. And sometimes when you try to plan, you have the patient saying to you, yes, but I don't have time, and this is when working on the motivation is relevant.
Okay. To help with, so once you've got people, they're beyond the contemplative, that they've decided that they want to do, this is where you can help them with their motivating and then achieving whatever actions you think they need to do. I'm interested in this because the past 10 years, there's been this shift of viewing the people as ecosystems, very complex rather than cars. And so Yo Nays talks a lot about this is the addressing lifestyle and health and comorbidities. And that would tailor nicely into MI of getting strategies to build healthy lifestyle, which is difficult for a lot of people.
Of course, you can.
Do you know now? Sorry, I'm really putting you on the spot.
No, please do.
Of any research where they've tested an MI approach for exercise adherence, or compared to not, to compared to more of a dictatorial, authoritarian approach? Authoritarian.
Of course, there's been a lot of research in the addiction world and other dimensions of healthcare. There are some on our domain, let's say, but there are not so much. And you mentioned Yo Nays, I'm sorry about the pronunciation. Actually, he's done an article, I think it's 2018 or... No, 2020, sorry. He's done an article about pain neuroscience education and MI and the relevance of using MI with pain neuroscience education. And there is a part in this article about the evidence behind using MI in this topic. I would say the evidence, when you go and look at it, you can't expect to see big things in the quantitative literature. I feel that in some way, it's not very easy to isolate. Probably the qualitative literature has more to offer to study this.
I think I understand. So my interpretation potentially would be, I would assume that there's going to be a subset of people who would dramatically respond to MI that might not respond to another approach. Because the other side of that coin is a way I don't practice. When I see people, this might be, I'm not even sure if Stu McGill practices like this, but someone who's very confident and has an idea of what people should do and just tells them what to do. I think that there's a subset of people that love that.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
They don't want to be asked, what do you think you should do? They don't want shared decision making, right? I'm like this with actually my health. I'd be really comfortable with some doctors and whatever saying, no, this is exactly what you need to do. Like when I get my car fixed. And so I think with research, that stuff might mess up the quantitative data.
Yeah, and that's very true. And there is also the question of training the therapist, but it's always the same issues. And I don't want to give the same arguments than other people who say, no, this study doesn't show good results because of this, that, and that. I don't want to fall into this trap. When we teach, we have the students doing an experiment to feel something, to live something, use different ways of communication, and then we have a debrief. And what we see, it's not study per se, but it's always the same data. And every human being will say the same thing when they are exposed to different styles. And you can be very directive. Is it the right word? Directive?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can be guiding, or you can be following your patient. And MI is a way to learn how to guide, but sometimes it will be more helpful for some patients to be in more directive style.
Okay.
And sometimes you can follow them a bit. But I will start with that. When you follow them, you have to respect yourself. You know, when I spoke about shared decision making and the focusing task in MI, you can decide to go for a treatment you're not very convinced about for a few sessions. You have to respect yourself, but maybe there is a situation, the usual example is massage for low back pain. This is the one which is used a lot by the students in France. So they think massage won't be the right choice for this patient. They want more active treatment, but at some point they say, okay, let's try this for a few sessions, and we'll have the opportunity to discuss with the patient, and then we'll see if we can do something else after. Some people, they will say, no massage, and we just try to do some active stuff, and if we can't, we don't work together. And the thing is, you can follow the patient if it's okay with you, and everyone has to put the level of what's okay or not. That's fine. You just have to respect yourself. So when you focus, you have to agree both sides. It's not only the patient needs to agree, the therapist needs to agree with what you are going to do. And with the directive style, the thing we have is we need to be aware of the risk. In every choice you have risk, okay? So we need to be aware of the risk, and one of the risks is to create dependency. Is it? Mm-hmm. Yeah?
Yeah.
Because then if you always tell the person what to do, every time he's got a problem, he will come to you to know what to do. And because you want them to get some autonomy, then if you do this all the time, you will never achieve that. And this is one of the issues the physios in France have, is when they come to the course, one of the first sessions is to ask them, okay, what kind of patients are difficult for you? And every time you have this story of the patient, I can't stop the sessions. In France, sessions are reimbursed, okay? So it doesn't cost any money the patient. And if you have low back pain, you can have two times 15 sessions per year, okay? Okay? And the physios, they say, I have this patient and I can't stop. I'm convinced I can't help him anymore. I can't do more, but he keeps coming back and I don't know how to stop the sessions. And the thing is, maybe, and not maybe, for sure, you have some patients, if you try to guide them, they're not ready, they're not confident enough, they need a more directive style, they need to feel that they have someone who is convinced, who knows their stuff, and tell, you have to do this, and it will go like this, and okay, and that will help them. But the thing is, maybe it's only a step. Maybe you do this just to increase his self-efficacy enough, and then when he sees the results, when he sees that he can do stuff and he can do by his own, and he has results because he's doing his exercises on his own, then you rely on that. Then you use affirmations to say, okay, you've been able to do that, you've achieved that, and when it's the right time, you switch to the guiding style. This is a way to avoid this problem of having a patient who can't do it on his own, can't take care of himself.
You would start by giving very clear direction, saying do this, and then and maybe open the door to saying, let's do it this way for a bit, and then in the future I'll help you less. And then you would say, hey, do you think you could manage this on your own? I'm here if you need me, perhaps.
Yeah.
As a soundboard, we can discuss this. Is that sort of the idea? You tell me what you think you should do going forward, and I'm here for you if you need me.
Yeah, basically. And once again, it's everyone needs to decide. Every therapist needs to decide what he prefers to do, because if you want to stay direct, you can. You just need to know the risk, and if you know that you can impair autonomy, you have to think about what can I use to decrease this problem, or do you accept it? But yeah, anyone can do what he wants. The only thing is, when you know how to guide, you have a choice. And it's shared decision making. Normally, shared decision making, agreeing with the patient that he just wants your advice, doesn't want more information, and wants to go like this. If that's fine with you, this is shared decision making. You agree?
Yeah.
It can stop here. Shared decision making is not always asking the patient his opinion. It's just giving this opportunity to the patient, because historically we are more directive. So patients, they never have their word. They can't say anything. So of course, when you ask patients, some don't like this. They want to be part of the process. And so when you do qualitative studies, they say, oh, I want to have my word in this story because that's my life. But now, if you only rely on what they want and we never share, we never use our expertise, we'll shift the pendulum the other way, and it's a problem.
It's not shared. Yeah.
You have to be able to navigate those styles and adapt to every patient and know the benefits and the problems associated with every styles. But if you don't know how to guide, you don't have options. You just directive.
Yeah, I think a lot of therapists are having trouble now where they see the research, and you'll hear people say nothing works, and I don't think that's true. What I see in the research is that so my practice style, I still have the same practice style I had 10 years ago. I'm just less strongly wedded to thinking that's the best style ever. What I've realized is that there's other approaches that can be helpful for people. So I still practice my same way, but I'm open to other things. And we see this in strength and conditioning, where there's lots of different ways to get strong or whatever it happens to be. And I think that fits well, this idea of options, which is out there. And I think that fits well with the shared decision-making, where we don't have to be so nihilistic and say everything sucks. We can say, oh, there's lots of ways that we can help people. And I think MI would work well with that. It's just we have such strong opinions. And I think we need to do that more for our professional selves, because we have trouble dealing with uncertainty. And so
that's it. And actually, this is just liberating. When you realize that you have, how do you say in English, different ways to skin a cat?
Yeah, that is a horrible expression.
Yeah, you have different ways. And maybe if you don't know the way that fits this patient, doesn't mean you're bad, you're not a good therapist. No, you know a way to do what you do. You have to make sure it fits with the patient in front of you. And if it doesn't, just please don't lose your time and don't make the patient lose his time. You know the problem, if you are convinced that you are the only one to know the right way, when a patient goes away, you feel bad because you think, I will never solve this problem without me.
Yeah.
But that's not true. If you realize that, no, it just doesn't fit, and there are many ways you can be helped, you don't feel the same way. You say, okay, I've done my best, and you have to do your best, of course. You don't have to be lazy, but you've done your best. You've realized very soon, very early, that it doesn't fit. Okay, don't lose time. And you can say to yourself that you've done your job. That's my opinion.
Yeah. I'm with you. Just we'll wrap up. So your course that you teach, is it just to French physios?
Yeah.
Have you done anything for the English folks throughout the world?
To be honest, I've been asked to do my course about motivating patients doing their home exercises. And it's not only home exercises, as you said, it's also the strategies to help them change behaviors or physical activities and stuff. And I've been reluctant to do it because I'm not sure my English is good enough, because sometimes when it's about communication, the details, how you use the words, and it's very crucial. So I've said no a couple of times, but yeah, but in the future. But I know that there are a lot of people who can train in MI all around the world. The only thing I've realized is I've been trained by GPs, and the GPs, they don't have the same level of people who are in pre-contemplation, as we said before. In MI, you have a tool which is called ask, offer, ask, is something to share information in a motivational way. And they don't use this often because usually, as we said before, people know that smoking is bad for them. And I'm asking myself is sometimes if you are trained in MI by people who are not into rehabilitation, so our problematics, maybe they could miss a bit this part, which is very important for us. But I'm convinced you have physios. Actually, I think I know in Canada a couple of physios who are teaching MI.
In the rehab world? Oh, yeah. Okay. I looked years ago. I even emailed a few people, and we were going to do some private stuff. Interesting. Maybe I'll find something in the show notes. But you could, are you putting your course online? Because you could always put subtitles.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I've my course about motivating patients is online now. But yeah, I've never thought about. Yeah, maybe that's an idea.
I mean, we watch French movies. I know what the hell's going on.
Really? Yeah.
So we can watch French motivational interviewings for exercises.
Okay, maybe that's an idea. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it is an idea. Thank you. But you didn't say it was a good idea.
Yeah.
That was nice motivational interviewing there. Make me think about what I just said. So, again, where can everyone find you?
They can follow me on social media, basically everyone. I'm not very active currently, but I'm willing to come back. I'm trying to think about good strategies currently. Yeah, but I'm willing to come back on X, so Twitter.
Yeah,
Instagram.
Twitter's not the same. The quality has gone down. We're missing a good place to have good discussions. Instagram's okay. I don't know. We have a knowledge translation issue with the public square. Letters to the editors. I just saw one today. I'm like, is this the best way for people to talk? And it's behind a paywall. Is this the best way for our profession to have these discussions? I don't know the solution there.
Yeah, not sure. Don't know either.
That's all right. That's another podcast.
Yeah. I'm just trying to put some knowledge or some information to help people out there, and actually I don't look much at the other stuff, so I just try to share.
I still like blogs. I'm going to keep writing blogs. They're there forever. You can go into details, link to resources. There's no discussion, but it starts it. Anyways, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Greg.
Okay, so we're all done, folks, for the Movement Optimism podcast. We have a bunch coming up in the future, so take care and adios.